All right, up next, we've got Patti Abate in Winnebago County, Illinois. Patti, what are you doing this week to save America?
Well, first and foremost, I'm praying because I think our country needs prayers.
Yes.
And I'm asking the Lord to forgive us for kicking him out of our government.
Amen. Yes.
Amen.
Yes. Seek his face. Let's pray, seek his face, turn from our wicked ways, and then God will hear from heaven, forgive our sins, and heal our land. Love that. What a great start. Can't beat that. How are you going to beat
No.
that for the rest of the interview? What else are you doing this week? Because a
Well,
lot of times their prayer is to be used by God to do his will. And so
mhm.
how are you being used by God to do his will to clean Illinois up?
Okay. Well, for the last 3 years, I've been working on with the election authorities to help maintain their the voter rolls.
Mm,
I've been privileged to work with Dr. Richards from the state of Georgia. He and his son have developed a program called Eagle AI,
mm.
which you probably heard of.
No, I haven't.
Oh, really?
Tell me
Um,
more.
he has access to 26 states in their voter rolls,
Hmm.
along with the national change of address from the United States Postal Service, and other property tax lists and things like that. And he merges them all together. And everything he uses is from the government.
Hmm.
It's not any other thing that he produces. It's just merging these and sending out reports to us. A couple weeks ago, I worked on people that moved from Illinois to other states.
Wow, I bet you were busy.
Yeah, thousands.
Right.
Luckily, I only work with Winnebago County, so
Yeah.
but he sent it to everybody in Illinois for us,
Hmm.
and we all worked hard on that. They either moved or they moved and voted, or they were just registered in another state. So we were sent that report, and we all. I have a team of about 5 people that work in Winnebago with me,
Hmm.
and we all looked at the report and went through it, made sure everything was okay, and then we sent it off to the election authorities. And then they did their due diligence and decided whether to remove the names or put them into the inactive status. And I
Hmm.
think for lack of time, everybody that they changed from my list, they put into inactive rather than removing, which is still a good thing because they still have to prove who they are when they come to vote,
Right.
if they come to vote. So
So do you have in that database, do you have the moment in time, like a timestamp of when they registered somewhere else? Is that the issue? They moved, they registered somewhere else,
right,
and now
yeah.
they're technically registered in two places. Have
Hmm.
you seen anybody having a voting record after they've moved and registered somewhere else?
I have not, but I know
That's
other
good.
counties have.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, our election authorities, I found with all the last 3 years, they've been very good at keeping it updated right now.
Hmm.
But 10 years, 4 years ago, 10 years ago, it's not the case. That's where I'm finding a
Yeah.
lot of people
And,
have
and
passed away 10 years ago and they're still on the voter rolls as active. Most of them
yeah,
are inactive, but still they're on there. And after 10 years, they should be
yeah.
removed.
That's Lori Gumow here in Winnebago County, correct?
What's that?
Lori Gumow, that's the
Mhm. Yeah.
here in
Hmm.
Winnebago County. Yeah, I had to early vote in this earlier this year. We were going on vacation, so I did an early vote, and I typically don't. I don't trust that whole process. But what I had done in the months prior, I began to receive mail at the house for people I have no idea who they were. So I started to collect the mails, like from the Department of Veterans Affairs and bank offers and whatever. I collected all these, and it was like three or four. I think it was four people. One person I looked up, and they were the previous owner of the house, so they were still getting mail here. The other three, I have no idea who they were. It came out of the blue. So when I went to early vote, I brought them and I asked them, and Lori actually got me with a clerk, and she looked it up, and yeah, they were registered to vote at the house. And so I had them either removed or placed in inactive, but in either
Hmm.
case, they're not going to be able to vote. But it's so strange because those other three names, I have no idea who they were. They weren't a previous owner. And all of a sudden we started getting mail. So that's one thing I had a video go completely viral when I put that out. I highly encourage everyone. It's not just make sure that you and your family are registered to vote in your house. That's important. But number two is to make sure nobody else is registered to vote at your house.
Yeah, that's how I began 3 years ago. I was canvassing for a Darren Bailey for governor.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that my walk list had different names at or at the same address. So when I was speaking with the owner, I asked to speak with the other person.
That's
And she goes, "Oh, we
huge.
bought their house a long time ago." And so I took that to Lori's office, and they took it and they processed it, and
Yeah.
most of them were removed. So that was how I began.
That's so important. It's a step most people miss, and most campaigns when they're doing their walk list like you were doing, you're going door to door with your walk list, and you see, hey, there's 8 people registered here, but you only talk to one person at the door. You got to ask them about all the other people to make sure
Yeah.
that they're supposed to be there.
Yeah, and I've been working with the WCRCC PCs,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're doing that this year around, keeping track of their walk lists and who's living there. And I
Right.
just got a 5-page list from one of the PCs, and I went through that, and we're just continuing on every little bit we can do. We're
That's
trying.
wonderful. What about, is there any sort of databases you're running into where you can determine whether or not somebody's here illegally and they're registered to vote?
That's really tough. Our laws don't allow us to question.
Whoa. What? Say it again.
Our laws don't allow us to question it. These illegals are getting driver's licenses
Mm-hmm.
to be able to go to work. And on that questionnaire is, are you a citizen?
Mm-hmm.
And all they have to do is say yes or no. And most of them don't speak English, so they don't know really what they were asked. So, and the federal government has allowed any agency that is associated with the government to send that to the election authorities as a registered voter. And we can't ask them, are you a citizen, when they come to vote. So the Congress has an act called the SAVE Act.
Yeah.
And I encourage everybody to call their representative or write to them, your senators, and let them know that you're for that, because only then can we ask for identification and proof of citizenship. Right now, it's just word.
Well, Illinois is especially bad because you don't have to require an ID to vote,
Right.
which is even more absurd to me. I lived in Florida for 22 years, came back up here to vote, and when I moved, and it's absolutely from a small town, small area, everybody knows everybody, so it's kind of a known thing. But
Mhm.
it's completely absurd to me that that's not even a requirement to have an ID, let alone the fact that you're saying you're not allowed to ask if they are a
No.
citizen.
Nope.
Now, there's a big fight going on in Congress right now with the SAVE Act, and I know that Mike Lee in the Senate has been pushing for this strategy, and Speaker Johnson and these others are trying to attach the SAVE Act to the funding bill, the CR. But then I just saw a press conference or a little interview where I forget the rep's name, and she said that, no, we passed the SAVE Act in July. And maybe it was in a committee, or I don't know what the game they're doing, but the fact that they're attaching it to the funding bill, which, by the way, funds all of the stuff we've been arguing against for the last 2 years in all these committee hearings, exposing the censorship and the totalitarian policies, and they're about to fund all of that and attach the SAVE Act to it. The games that they play in D.C. make me sick. It's like, I want an up or down vote on the SAVE Act. Who's for it? Who's against it? We know that I don't think the Senate will pass it. Biden certainly won't sign it.
Mm-hmm.
It certainly won't be implemented before the election.
Yeah, I was under the impression that they were trying to tag it to this other one because they know the other one will be voted on,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the way they can get it voted through before the elections. But
the games they play
Yeah.
is just right versus wrong is where we're at, and
Yeah.
they're playing. They're still both sides are still playing these games. Meanwhile, you've got Well, doesn't the supreme law of the land, the Constitution, require that if you vote, you have to be a citizen?
Yes, but
So,
we can't ask them to prove it right now.
yeah. So it's going to be an after the fact. Um, yeah. It's going to be an after the fact prosecution or attempted prosecution if somebody votes and it's proven after the fact that they were
Mhm.
here illegally.
Yeah.
But of course, that'll happen after it's certified.
Yep.
I know. So, what else are you doing to try to save America, Patty?
Well, I'm also associated with the EIN, the Election Integrity Network. It was founded by Cleta Mitchell,
Mm,
and it's a national group. And we try to work with authorities to make real changes, not just a band aid.
right.
So there's groups. There's a vote by mail group, and they work closely with our voter roll group um, to make sure that the voter rolls are clean. And when they send out the applications to vote by mail, they aren't going to dead people and they aren't
Right.
going to somebody else's house and just sitting there. I mean, you took all your mail to the county, and a
Hmm.
lot of people just throw it away.
Right.
And so nothing can be done about that. So
Right.
the voter roll or the vote by mail group is trying to work on that aspect of it. I'm here really for the only citizens vote group.
Mm.
And that's where I got involved. My girlfriend said, "Hey, you got to do this. It's
Yeah. That's
only
great.
citizens vote week next week, so we got to do this." But again, our hands are really tied right now. And
Yeah.
I haven't come up with a good solution to it. And I haven't heard many
Right.
other than pray.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, we all
he's
know
got to,
where we need to be.
yeah,
No machines, paper ballots, voter ID, registration. Like in Florida, the registration cutoff is 29 or 30 days before the election.
mm,
Illinois, same day
same
registration,
day.
which is
Yeah,
just same day registration. You're not allowed to ask if they're a citizen, and you don't have to have an ID to vote. That's a recipe for disaster. And maybe, just maybe, I mean, look, in Illinois, was it 2/3 of the land mass is red, if you will, at least a land mass, but it's this heavy Democrat state, and maybe because everybody I talk to around, I mean, there's still a few people wearing masks by themselves in their car, but most people around here, they're right leaning. But maybe our election's been a little crooked for a long time. I don't know.
yeah. Well, I think the Democratic Party has really been trying to take control of all our rights. They want us to be dependent on them.
Yes.
It started with COVID. They told us what we could do and what we couldn't do, um, and now it's going to the rights of parents, telling them what their kids can read and what they can't read, and that they can have steer their child toward changing their sex
Yes.
without any knowledge going to the parents.
No parental notification. Unbelievable. And there's even, and I know that, I don't know if Illinois is going this far yet. I think they were in California, but even if you resist as a parent,
Hmm.
DCFS could get involved.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
It's crazy. So we have a lot of work to do. And I'm so glad, and you're volunteering to do this. This has
Yeah.
just been a burning passion for you.
Mhm.
You've very highly engaged with these organizations for a number of years now. And I thank you tremendously. I thank you so much for your service.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I really want to stress the importance of knowing the candidate that you're voting for.
Yes.
Don't vote because she's a woman and she's black. Vote
Oh
for
my goodness.
because she can do something. She's been the VP for nearly 4 years.
Right.
And what has she done? Nothing.
Right.
And our country's in such a mess with the cost of living and all these thousands of people that are here from other countries.
Hmm.
And she says she's going to take care of that on day one, but why not in
Day,
the last 3 years?
day one was 3.5 years ago.
Yes, yes. So it's very frustrating. And to talk
Yeah.
to some of these people and ask them, why they're voting for, they aren't knowledgeable. They don't, they need to watch the debate tonight
Hmm.
and really get to know the candidate that they want to vote for
Right.
and understand why we're passionate about our candidate. He's a businessman. He's our prices of food was wonderful during his administration.
Mhm.
He's knows how to talk to foreign leaders.
Mhm.
Her joy is not going to talk to. It's not going to work with foreign leaders.
Right.
We had no wars when Trump was president,
Yeah.
and now there's just a powder keg in the Middle East right now, and
Yeah. How do you get people to, I mean, that is when I talk about the Save America training camp, this program that I have, one of the days we really focus on the problem, which is a lot of the people that we know, family, friends, neighbors, coworkers, they are all, most of them, products of the news media that they watch.
mhm,
I can spot a MSNBC talking point from a mile away versus, which is a little bit different than a CNN talking point, which is different than even a Fox News talking point. But people walk around as if that's my source of news. I trust them. I don't trust anybody else. But you can tell they are a product of that news source. And it's the people that watch a variety of news that have their own beliefs and understand their own beliefs and can communicate them. We've got to figure out a way to unlock that grip that the media has on a lot of people. Because that whole media campaign of rebranding Kamala, even though she's
mhm.
been there, she was disliked for a long time, never even voted on in a primary. And all of a sudden they rebranded her to the second coming. I mean, that's a product of the media.
Right. And I've watched, I mostly watch Fox, but
Mhm.
I also have watched the other stations, and I see that they show only half of the story.
Yeah.
And if that's where people are getting their information, then I don't blame them for wanting to vote for her,
Right.
but we
Yeah.
just have to get the truth out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can only be done by a personal conversation with a family, friend, neighbor, or coworker, somebody that you know. Because I love Tucker Carlson, some of these others that they're doing great interviews and putting out great content. But those people who are locked in with their belief and their news system, and they're not going to see a Tucker video. It's going to be, they're going to turn it off right away. They're not going to see a 30-second commercial and change their mind. It's going to be a personal one-on-one conversation with someone you know and love, that if you actually sit down and not attack,
Hmm.
but figure out ways to ask questions, plant seeds, go from where they are to try to move them to the truth.
Yeah.
It's
Ask questions. Don't say, no, this is it.
yes,
Just ask
yes.
questions.
Plant those seeds. Absolutely. It's great. Any before we conclude, anything else you want to add? Any shout outs you want to give?
Well, to my team at
Yeah.
Winnebago, Election Integrity, the WCRCC,
Hmm.
and Willard Helander has been a godsend to us. She's
Yeah.
the head of our state team for
Mhm.
voter rolls. And then Carol Davis is who got me started. I saw her at a meeting, and she just got me going.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great. Well, again, Patti, thank you so much for your service to our country. Appreciate you tremendously.
Thank you.
And we've got a lot of work to do, but
Yeah.
thank you for being on the front lines.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. This segment brought to you by the Remembrance Project, theremembranceproject.org.